Trading Bottles, sponsored by ACAP. Today, we are joined by Michael Cogshill and Simon Massey of Trade Room Plus. They've done thousands of hours of live trading, so I'm looking forward to a fun session. Michael and Simon are retail traders who started about 10 years ago and run a trading room where they trade their real accounts. They know what it's like to win and lose. And if we get the chance, maybe Simon will tell us the story of how he punched through his desk so hard he's had to strap it up for a rugby game. Now, I know our two contestants are very eager to get their trades on, so let's get right to it. Simon, who will kick us off, is our short-term trader. He's eager to look at the markets with you, and he's told me that news matters very little when it comes to his trades. So with that in mind, Simon, what are you looking to put on this morning?
Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Yeah, I think the DAX is looking pretty heavy here at the moment. So I'm going to take this on probably a 5-minute time frame. That's actually the link for the stream, so not quite what I was wanting. But so I'm looking to short the DAX at market here. So I'm going to get short at 15,522 or whatever it is at market at the moment. That's the DAX cash, not the futures. And we're going to pin our stop just above the high. We're going to put it above the weekly pivot as well. Any time between the entry and stop, we want to make sure that put as many things between those two places. So we're going to go 15,583, I think, for the stop. And then the limit, probably going to want to look for about 1 hour, really. I don't think there's much below here. So 15,460 is probably where I'm going to put the limit as well. So that is going to be an at-market short at the DAX. We're looking heavy. We've got a gap down today. We are quite range-bound, and we might not see an extension until we get the US Open. But at the moment, it's looking pretty bearish. I mean, there is some divergence on the RSI down here that's suggesting we might see a little bit of upside, but I'm not really bothered about technical analysis like that. So we'll have to see. We probably might well stay range-bound, but I'm quite happy just to short that DAX at the moment, and I'll get that chart marked up while Michael has a look at his trade.
So, Simon, is this a pure technical trade, or do you have any big stories that is driving the motivation for getting short DAX?
Not particularly. At the moment, it looks like we've gapped down, so that's obviously bearish sentiment, and it just looks like we're wedging down here for some. We're making lower highs and lower lows. Okay, we are making higher lows as well here, so we have got a triangle wedge. But if you look at a basic flag formation, then that does suggest we're going to see some further downside. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it just stays range bound until we get the US Open to see what's happening. But I'm just getting the impression that all the time the market's getting bought up here, it's failing, and we've just seen this failure here with this candle. And I think if we see this 15,491, then we'll see a completion of that formation. But we will have to see. That's why we have stop losses in place in case of not happening.
Good stuff. It seems like this trade is very much consistent with the sell-off that we're seeing in U.S. stock futures. And, hopefully this trade will resolve itself, during our live trading battle. We'll see how it works out. Now, Michael is our big picture
Hello,
guy.
Kathy.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. He's a swing trader that focuses on the big stories, and we've certainly got a lot of them, from natural gas, the Fed, to China. So Michael, walk us through your best trade ideas for the morning with precise entry and exits for our producers to kick off this battle.
Okay. Yes. Morning, Kathy. Good afternoon in Europe, and good evening out in the southern side. Now, I've just put up VIX here, and what we can see on the VIX, which is a look at the difference between the options on the Chicago Board Exchange between buys and sells. And effectively, the VIX up here last week was quite high, and we got a bit of a sell-off at that time. Now, at this moment, VIX has been green, and that I'm not so sure that the sell-off in index markets is over as yet. I think there could be more to come. Now, normally on a Friday in our live trade room, what we've found over the last couple of years is that Friday on index markets has actually been statistically an up day. So Simon taking a short trade on DAX right now is against that. However, it is short term. And we could get some short trades going down and then possibly coming back up later. I happen to think that the way things are going across Europe is that short is we might get a divergence between where the European markets, index markets are going, and where the US index markets are going. I think that the talk of transitory inflation in Europe is not really quite the case. We've got a bit of an energy crisis coming through across with natural gas, and that is going to put prices up across the whole of industry. I've been looking across at some of the products in that, and I don't think that some of the indexes in Europe are going to stand up all that well to that for the next couple of weeks or so, and we'll see what really happens. And of course, there is a German election at the weekend. It's going to produce a coalition government as expected, but it basically means that there'll be some waiting to really find what happens. The election won't produce an immediate winner. It'll produce a period of a bit of uncertainty over the weekend. So it may be that Simon's short on DAX is going to work out very well. For me to get straight on with, I'm actually going to go short on euro dollar. It is slightly moving down a bit at this point, and I'm looking here from a time frame at just on daily. But if I'm going to come up into euro dollar, I'm going to put a short on straight off with the market with a stop above here. So a stop at 1.17. Let me write this on the chart. Stop at 1.176 stop at market, which is about here, around about there. And I'm going to be looking to really sort of double that, coming down the chart with a take profit further down. That's not going to produce everything that we'd want it to produce in the next hour, because this is on an hourly time frame. But I may well see how this goes, holding in over the next.
Okay, so when you say double, what can you clarify that a little bit? Are you saying that you're
I'll
looking
just draw that on the chart here. So what we've got here is we've got this is an hourly euro dollar chart. So we've got a sort of a bit of a channel heading on down. I'm taking a trade now at the upper side of this channel here. It's the top part of it. It's not at the top. It's a bit down from there. I'm putting a stop further above that, and I'm going to really look for a take profit down here. So my entry point to my stop is what I'm calling a risk of one. And my exit point, where I'm looking for profit, I'm going to be looking for a risk of round about a reward of around about 2. So a reward of 2. So my exit point that I'm really looking for is going to be about 1.1625.
Okay,
I've just done that visually to give a.
Are you? It looks like you're a one in, one out trader. Are you? Do you typically manage your stops as it moves in your favor, or do you just keep it where it is and shoot for the 2 times target?
I'm going to be shooting for the 2 times target here, but I will review this once we are sort of 7-8 candles down the line, which is really not going to now possibly be until Monday that I would review moving that stop. It probably wouldn't be a stop move today. If I was on a shorter time frame, then I probably would definitely change that. So that's my starting trade. I think that it's got long-term value as well.
Okay, so it looks like our traders are short euros, short DAX, short Europe. So is there any way you think this could go wrong? Because we do have that German election coming up, and you're both in the same side. Simon, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, if the German election affects things in the next 15 minutes, then I'll be rather surprised. But we'll have to find out. But I think there's 2 ways you can approach trading. You can either I always say to people when we teach them, look, what are you putting in your decision-making part? Are you following news? Are you following Twitter? Are you following this or that? Or are you doing technical analysis, doing technical indicators? And for me, it's always been very, very simple. I always believe everything's in the price action. The price action will tell me what I need to know. I mean, obviously, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to take a brand new trade over the top of NFP, for example. But for me, it's just a case of looking at the charts, having a vague eye, looking at the sort of reoccurring patterns, and then just trying to trade them. I keep it very simple, which, as you can probably tell by our contrasting analytical styles, I'm very, very lazy and simple, whereas Michael's a bit more sophisticated and in-depth. So that's the way that suits my trading. So I don't tend to think of it a bit more beyond just the basic patterns, to be honest. And so far, that's worked for me. And it's not too much of a roller coaster ride like trading.
So, when we were, I love those backgrounds.
I was doing preparation. I spent 55 minutes on the background, about 5 minutes looking at the charts, which are probably reflected in my trading.
Stands about normal. Pretty typical.
Well, we'll have to see. What I found really interesting when we were talking before is that, Simon, you told me that 95% of your trades are taken within the first hour of the U.S. Open, and 95% of your trades are closed in 5 minutes. So, is that a reflection of a reverse? You're trying to ride the reversals when the stock market opens, or you're basically trying to ride the momentum? Because from what I understand, this is not your typical time to trade. You wait for the U.S. market to open at 9:30 New York time, or what's your typical trading time?
So I like to start when the US opens, which is obviously 9:30 EST or 14:30 BST. So yeah, I do a lot of scalping stuff on the futures market, very short term, very quick, very intense stuff. So I typically have 5 or 10 trades in an hour, and then I'm burnt out. So I'm generally done by then as well, which suits the sort of work-life balance aspect of trading. I've always been attracted to really short-term scalping stuff, which feeds into the fact that I just look at the technicals and things like that. It's hard and it's stressful, but that's always been the type of trading which I've done, whereas Michael tends to look at sort of longer-term stuff, which is why we complement each other slightly in that regard. So yeah, that's the thing that that's always attracted me to trading, is just nice in and out of the market quickly, quite intense trading, and then be done for the day.
I think a lot of retail traders get short-term trading wrong in that they confuse the longer-term issues with short-term trading. Now, Simon doesn't confuse the long-term issues with short-term trading. He ignores the longer-term issues. He just gets straight on with the short-term trading, which is great. You can be right. You can be completely right, knowing that inflation is going to damage a certain market. You can be completely right about that. But on the short term, on your day's trade, you could lose all your money by just not getting on with the market and what's happening on a price action there and then. And then you find out weeks later you were perfectly right. You wanted to be short, but you kept getting stopped out. You kept getting stopped out. Every time it took a little mark moves up, and then you look at it later on, a few weeks later, and down it was, and you go and you smack yourself and you say, why? I knew it. You need to separate that fundamental edge that you think you have for time frames that it suits, and it's not scalping like Simon does. It doesn't. Scalping, you just got to get in and get out, and that's great.
Yeah. So let's be realistic here.
I'm getting compliments about the beard.
Let's be realistic here. So you completely ignore fundamentals, but what about FOMC Day, for example? This week was a huge week. We had a lot of central bank rate decisions. We had Evergrande. We have China announcements. Simon, do you just completely ignore all of that and don't even look at the news flow? You don't even think about possibly avoiding trading FOMC Day. None of that is taken into account into your trading.
No, so FOMC, I'll trade the first hour of the US, and then I won't look at it until the next day again, and I'll just look at the candle and just look at the price action. Is the market going up? Is it going down? Is it going sideways? And that's pretty much all I'm interested in. Without boring on about psychology, humans are very overconfident, and we love experts telling us what's going to happen. And sometimes you just got to say we just don't know. Trying to predict the future is not something I'm interested in. I'm just interested in what the price action's telling me, whether it's bouncing off support and resistance, whether it's trending. And it's as simple as that. So no FOMC. I won't take a trade at 7 p.m. our time for FOMC. I'm not going to take a trade over the news, of course. I'll probably be out doing something better. But I will just look at the candlesticks the next day and see what the volatility is. I'm just had to highlight in chat someone saying they're loving the lockdown beard, so I'm pretty happy with that.
It's
What's
looking
with
good. All right.
shark in the background? There's no
Simon
shark in the
doesn't
background.
generally hold positions to news because he's not in positions at the time of those news. I mean, the key news times from are before the US market opens. Normally, we get big news coming out at 1:30 UK time, which is an hour before the US market should normally open, and FOMC is in our evening, 7 p.m. in the evening. And Simon's definitely not trading at those times, so he's not trading through the news. All the big news items, not trading through those. Yeah,
we have this wonderful relationship, don't we? You and I. It's
I know you guys have each other's back, don't you?
It's like my dad. I just ramble on, and then he basically explains it in normal English what I mean. He's like my translator. He's so wonderful.
So that's what makes this so much fun, which is that you guys are now going to make each other sweat. In challenge 2, you're supposed to give your opponent 3 trades where they're required to hold for at least 10 minutes. And once you're given those trades, you'll tell me how it looks and where you want to put your stop and target. So Simon went first last time. Michael, do you want to go ahead?
I know what's coming.
Can't be dad anymore. You get to make him.
Yeah, no, it was going to be dad. So
give me a position, Dad.
I'm going to force him onto the Nasdaq, which is one of his favorite markets. I'm going to make him go long now, basically on the Nasdaq, and
the one market I've not got up.
Yeah, so the Nasdaq at the moment is and the futures have fallen down a little bit in this morning. What time frame? I'm on a 15-minute time frame here, and they're heading down. They could easily come down to 15,168, and but Simon's is a reversal trader, so he doesn't really like to just continue on the downtrend. He'll be looking for somewhere like this 168 for a reversal long, and that would be Simon's trade. So I'm going to force him into going short now, which is around 15,200 short. And to be fair with him, I'd expect that if it got over 15,260, that it should be stopped out. 15,260 short. And I really want him to hold it through that 168, which will really hurt him, all the way down to
well, he's actually going to set his own stops and limits. So, as far as I understand, you want to put him into a short.
I want him to go short now.
Okay, that's number 1
on Nasdaq. So that's number 1. So you want 3 more from me, yeah?
2 more.
2 more. So
and
short
while you're
on the Nasdaq.
The ideas, Simon, when it's your turn, you can talk through whether you like the trade or not, and where you would want to put your levels.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so momentum is clearly down on a pound dollar at this moment. So go long, Simon. Go against the momentum.
Pound.
Yeah, it's looking like it's getting sucked all the way down to this 1.36185. So go long. And third, there's clearly momentum upwards on USD CAD. So I'm short on euro dollar. I'm thinking that we can see that the pound dollar is going down, and we can see here that the USD CAD is going up. So they're 3 correlated markets. They're all US dollar, and the momentum at the moment is green up. So, but there is a previous support point here which could turn to resistance right now. So is it going to turn around there, or is it going to carry on up? It's one or the other. So long, Simon, USD CAD. There's the 3.
My word, I can't even keep up.
Okay, so sounds good. Long, we've got short Nasdaq, long pound, long dollar CAD for Simon, correct?
Yep.
All right. So Simon, you want to take a look at those trades and see whether you actually like them, you hate them, and what the stops and limits you want on those trades to be.
All right, cool. We start with the Nasdaq then. I mean, I think we have to. The Nasdaq's very tends to be very reactive off its gap. I've got the cash. This is the cash Nasdaq, which is not open at the moment, so there's no data. But I put the entry where it is down here. So we've got the gap close up here at 15,316. So I think we just get the stop above yesterday's high and above all this noise. I could go above the pivot, but then we start extending our stop out a little bit too much. So I'm going to put the stop at 15,360 on the Nasdaq short, and I'm going to. Oh, let me just pull a fib very quickly. I don't want to get onto my.
What time frame is this chart on? Is it 5 minutes?
This is a 5 minute. This is a 5 minute, but I could essentially look at it on an hour or 15. Probably want the profit target just above that 60, just above that. I'm short, aren't I? Let's get this right. Probably want that profit target just above the 61.8 fib retracement. The 50% is probably where I'd like to put it, but the stop's too big for that, so the risk reward's not good enough. So I think that is what I'm going to do at the moment. I'm going to have my stop up here at 15,360. I'm going to have the limit down at 15,045. So that's about a 1 hour trade at the moment. So that's the Nasdaq. What else did we say? You said USD CAD. What position? What
short?
What am I on that at the moment? I am long from one spot 27286. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just get on an hourly time frame.
Well.
It is, yeah. One spot. Well done, Michael. Thank you. We said we were only going to stitch each other up once on this, so you can see how he's lied to me. This is the relationship we have. 286. Good job.
Around.
It's all right. You've left me. You've left me the big one. That was a big mistake. I think just logically getting the stop below these hourly lows would be my intuitive reaction to that. So let me just try and get a slightly round number so we haven't got 700 decimals. One spot 263. I would place the stop loss below this price action here, where the market's shown it's not wanted to go below. And again, I'm just going to pull a very, very quick Fibonacci just to try and set a profit target here from the swing high to swing low. 50%, 61.8. So I think we'll probably just go from this 61.8 up here and set the target at one spot to. I'm trying to work quickly here. 5, 6.
So for those of you that are watching Michael put his levels on, I do want to point out that his technique is pretty interesting. I mean, basically, he's setting his stops at significant highs and lows, which is a very smart thing to do, and then he's setting his targets based upon either other significant highs and lows or fib levels, which is a great reference point. So if you're trying to understand, the way he approaches the markets on a short-term basis, these levels are, we all know that they're important, but, clearly for a pro trader like him, he's definitely making it a cornerstone of his analysis.
One spot 366. So let me just mark up where I am long. I don't think this is a bad trade, actually. I know the temptation on this would be to go short, and I can understand why people, because obviously Michael's trying to make me lose money, so he's doing the opposite. So Forex, the cable pair, FX, what you tend to find is a lot of short squeezes. So you might see the market come down here. And what you'll see is the market will go, the analogy is it's going through the door. So it'll knock through the door. We'll see who's down here. Are the sellers willing to bring it down or the buyers willing to down here? And with Forex especially, what you tend to find is the market comes down, goes through the door, and then you end up with people getting stitched up who are trying to short the market. The buyers come in, start squeezing these people who are all below this level in the short position. As they get out of their positions, you'll see the market ping up. That's a very common thing. So when you're placing your stop loss on something like cable on a daily time frame, for example, I'd probably want to give it a little margin of error in case we get that fake out. We don't want to get stop hunted in that respect. So I'm just trying to finesse this a little bit without doing anything too technical with the ATRs. One spot 3580 would be my stop loss on this trade. And again, I'd probably just look for this significant high here for a retracement. I'm not even going to bother with Fibonacci retracement here. What's this price action telling me up here? It's telling me the last time the market was up here, it couldn't find any more buyers. Where's the market not want to go? The buyers are exhausted here. So we want to build in a slight margin of error. And we just want to pull this down a little bit to the top of these candles. Risk reward's about right, really. I mean, I've got a positive win percentage, so I'm not bothered about positive risk rewards if you've got a positive win percentage. So the target is going to be at one.
So hold on, that's a throwaway line. that's a throwaway line that I think is really a gem, because I know that's the way I trade and that's the way he trade, which is that it's the positive win percentage sometimes is so much more important than
Yeah.
the actual risk reward on short term trading. Because with long term with swing trading, probably Michael's style and the way he's shown us earlier, having solid risk rewards is where you really squeeze a bulk of the move. But when you're day trading, just like Simon pointed out, it's really about high accuracy and hitting those winners as much as possible. So he kind of let that slide, but that's really a important line that he made. So with that, Simon, it's time for you to hand over a couple of trades that is going to make Michael uncomfortable in his seat.
Okay, yeah. Well, oil's doing really well at the moment. We currently have some long positions on oil. We're starting to see the world open back up. I mean, this is obviously oil was at the bottom of the coronavirus is starting to trend up here. There's indications from the US that it's opening up, and Kathy has promised to take me to a fancy restaurant in New York if I go there over Christmas. So you heard that on stream. And so we are starting to fly a bit more. I know, it's indicative of the fact the world's opening up. So in a short summary, Michael can short oil because that's a ridiculous thing to do at the moment. So I'm going to put Michael short on Brent crude oil futures. Your price might be slightly different. I've got slightly delayed, but it's short at market, so I don't know where. A 10-minute delay on this chart, unfortunately. But so I'm going to put Michael short on oil because oil's going up at the moment. We're already long, and then he can put his stops and limits wherever he wants. For me, that's good. So that would be my first trade because I think oil's going to go up. Yeah, you're short on oil. It'll pop up on your MT4 because oil's going to go up. Really.
Oil.
Yeah, exactly. Let me find something else. Let me just get gold up as well. Where do I not think? These will probably be the best trades I've ever done when I'm actually trying to lose your money as well. Okay. Gold is looking pretty bearish to me at the moment. We've come up and done this treble top here on this daily time frame. So I would put Michael short on gold at the moment. It looks like we're doing a sort of descending wedge here as well. So I think we're likely to open up, these lows of August. So I would like to put Michael long on gold because I think the market is going to go down. So long at market on gold because the market's going to go down. And and then I'm going to try and find him a 5-minute time frame trade as well. I did have one in mind. Oh, Bitcoin. Okay. Let me just get coin. Heads short, tails long, because that's as much as I know where it's going. Heads short. So Michael is short at market on Bitcoin because I've got no idea where this is going. We're actually positioned long on Bitcoin, but China saying they're going to make it illegal today has stitched us up a little bit. So I would like Michael to also go short on Bitcoin at market. I did say short, didn't I? I can't remember.
You did.
Yeah, it was head short, wasn't it?
We have short oil, long gold, and short Bitcoin. So Michael, how do you feel about those trades, and what do you think you want to put stops and limits?
So the one I'm not going to jump straight on is Bitcoin because he's just gone short on that for me, hasn't he? So that might be a thank you very much. That could be a very good trade for me. China this morning has said all Bitcoin, all digital currencies are illegal. Hence why the market has dropped today. Whether or not we get it over the weekend, we tend to get a large amount of Bitcoin trading happening in the retail market, mainly because there's nothing else no other markets are actually open at the weekends. And so there tends to be jumps higher on the weekend. So I'm going to have to make a decision on what to do with that one later on. So I'll come back to stops and limits on it. I don't think that's an issue straight away. Gold. He's given me a buy on gold. I love buying gold. I think gold's the product you buy, and I like buying it on pullbacks. That's what I really like. So every time it pulls back is when I want to be in the market. So what I mean by a pullback is and I've taken a lot of gold trades. So it comes down, it goes up, it comes back to the pullback, it comes up, it comes back to the pullback. It hits levels relatively well. And what we've got at the moment is it's hit levels quite well across. And I think that if if I can keep it in here in that range there, then it heading on up is a good thing. So I'm going to keep that and give it a relatively good stop range on it, I would have thought.
So I have to ask the question that everyone's probably wondering, which is, what are all these lines and dotted lines on your charts? Because there seems to be a lot.
Okay, so there's not really a lot going on this chart on the chart. So I put a Bollinger Band on my chart because I quite like, I don't do it that often, but I quite like a Bollinger Band squeeze trade. So that's the only reason I really have the Bollinger Band here. This is a Bollinger Band, and it goes either side, and it's a statistical measurement of a couple of standard deviations either side, and then it's got a central one here. When the Bollinger Band is wide, the market's moving quite a lot, and when it squeezes up, as you can see here, it's in a squeeze, and then it's squeezed even further there. So at this point here, the market is squeezed, and from a squeeze you can then get a breakout of a squeeze. So I often look at this just to see whether or not there's a
So are the rest moving averages the ones in the
so that's Bollinger Band. In here I've got some moving averages, basically just 50, 100, and sat in there. And they're not really telling me anything that I can't see from the price action. I don't really need those in there.
All right, so sorry to interrupt, but you were going to put those gold levels on?
Yes.
Yes.
So the question is, I sort of need to be.
So while Michael is looking at his charts, we are looking at the scoreboard. And from the scoreboard, it looks like they're about even, because Simon's pound dollar and NASDAQ profits are offset with Michael is up 48, and Simon, let's see if we can get Simon's tally, is down. So it seems like Michael is in the lead for now, but he has a lot fewer trades than Simon because we haven't fully put on all our stops and limits. And as we all know, at the trading battle, the tides can turn all the time when we get our trades settled a week ahead. But that's where we're at this moment. So levels, we have some levels here: 1662 for a stop in gold and 1885 for a target.
Yeah, and that's what I'd run that if this was a daily trade. And so let's put that on there for the moment. But really, because we're in a battle, we might want to take this down to a smaller time frame.
Well, we're actually starting to run tight on time. So if we can get the oil and BTC levels on first, then we can look at our final trades and then kind of review everything.
UK, I did put it on. Okay, so it's the UK oil. No, it's US oil. Right, okay, yeah. That one is put it on there, which is the WTI rather than the Brent, isn't it? I think.
Correct.
This is, yeah. So this is and so I am currently short on that, aren't I? Yes. And oil is a market that we've been trading long recently, and so it's pulled off the top there. Now this, in short term point of view, could actually be a nice little rollover. I'm going to put a stop nice and tight, right on right just above the high, literally just up the high here, 73.85. 73.85 there. Actually, let's put it a little bit higher, 0.9, 73.9, 73.9. And I'm going to take profit here, so we can see if we can get something out in the next 275.
Okay, that looks good. So it sounds like You like the gold trade because you like to go long gold in general, and you like that rollover in oil. So far it seems like Simon hasn't given you too hard of a time. Now Bitcoin, that's the one that's the roller coaster ride.
Yeah. So
It's
so
a coin
so
flip.
Coin
so
toss.
yeah. I mean, it is, especially today, a bit of a coin toss. It's had a big drop down due to what the Chinese have said in the market today, and it could continue on down. So he's given me, but frankly, if we put a fib on this fall down, 50% is going to be right back up here. It could come all the way up to 43.027 quite easily, and lose me lots of money by then. So I'm not going to take a big loss on this. I'm going to put a tight stop on it and trail it down if I can. I'm going to put a stop in at 41730, I think. So it's just going to come in around about there, and let's take some profit before. This is the place to take profit, isn't it? There, take some profit there.
So viewers at home, pay attention. Our two pro traders are once again highlighting key significant highs and lows as levels that are important to watch. So if you're just kind of tuning in for the first time, these are what a lot of our professionals focus on, because there's a reason why there's anxiety for traders around those levels, and they're important reference points to put your stops or targets. Okay, so while we're settling that, producers, if you don't mind bringing up the scoreboard again, let's take a look at how those original trades have fared. So we kicked off the session where Simon said he was very eager to get short DAX. Unfortunately, it seems like DAX has bounced a little bit, and that trade is in the water for now. And then Michael started off the session and said that he really wanted to. Let me see if I can get my notes here. Go short euro dollar. How's the euro dollar trade going? The euro dollar trade's working out very, very well for our swing trader. So the other trades they've been given, these are not their positions that they would normally feel comfortable initiating at the onset, but looks like the euro dollar and the pound and the DAX are moving the way that they're moving. So now, what we're looking for is the trade that you think. It's kind of like the YOLO trade, where the trade that you think is really going to set you apart at the end of the week, because we do a tally on Trading Battle Day. We do a tally a week later. Let's take a look at, what your favorite trade, Simon, is to leave us with for the rest of the week.
Okay, so I mean the indices are so resilient at the moment. Let me just get the ES futures again. What's your profit target for the Bitcoin futures, Mike? The Bitcoin futures, the Bitcoin trade. I think that's just needs to be entered in the system. I have moved my stop on the DAX, by the way, to sort of encompass it above this 59, just very briefly. Stops move down the DAX because we're trailing above this black moving average, which is a 59. If it breaks that, the trade's invalid. So I've reduced the risk of this trade. Anyway, so for me, I think I'm going to have a look at the S&P 500. I'm just going to be on the cash at the moment rather than the futures. I think there's a real clear statement of intent here on the S&P 500. I mean, people try and short the indices. When you look at brokers, thank you to the person who donated to my charity. If I put a Rick and Morty background on, that's why it's there, by the way. But the reason people short the indices is unbeknownst to me, because you generally see people like client sentiments, people trying to short these markets every time it makes a new time high. Big mistake retail traders make. Anyway. So for me, I would like to get long at market on the S&P 500. I don't even know where it is at the moment on the cash, because my charts only show cash. Give me 2 seconds just to find the price. So we're down about 4422, aren't we? So the market's approximately going to be opening about here. So I would like to get long on the S&P 500, and I would put my stop below this higher low that we saw here. This is a daily time frame trade, so I expect to be in it for a while. So I'd like to get long at market, which I guess is going to be around that 4422. So I'll just mark that up very quickly with an orange line. We always use a traffic light system: orange for entry, red for stop, green for profit target. Makes things nice and clear. when we're doing our trading. And then I'll probably stick the stop. You could put the stop all the way down here, but that's ridiculous. We don't need the market to go all the way down here to tell us that the sentiment has changed. There's been a change in behaviour. So I either want to pin it below this major support here, this 67, or give it a tiny bit more room to breathe by posting it below this higher low. So I'd probably just put it below this higher low here. I'm not going to put it below the pivots. I'm not interested in those because I don't think it'll get anywhere near there going into the weekend. And I think we'll probably end up with a gap up at the weekend. And my profit target would be sort of equidistant, if you like. I'm not going to bother with fib work. I'll probably just stick it all the way up at around this 4510. I would probably scale out as well. I know I'm looking at whole profit targets, but if it got there, I'd probably take 2/3 off, and then if the market starts trending again. But I think the fact that we've come down and we've got this big statement of intent that the market has found value down here, I expect we will find some further value. Of course, this could just be a pullback before we go short, but same with any trade. So certainly, if we can break this 4468. 4486, I beg your pardon. I think the uptrend has continued again.
Okay, so we are going long. You are going long S&P. What are you looking at, Michael? What do you think is going to be a good trade for?
I think I'm going to deliberately do something that's pretty opposite to Simon, and I'm going to call the ASX short. Now, the ASX is the Australian index, and the difference between that and the Nasdaq is that the Nasdaq, for example, is tech, primarily all tech. The ASX is primarily commodities and things like that. The SPX is 500 shares across the whole of the USA, a large basket. The ASX is 200 Australian companies, and there's more, a greater amount of commodities and other people in that. Now, I think of that inflation is not going to be transitory as being talked about by pretty much all of the central banks at this moment. I think that's we're seeing a lot of things going on in Europe, and that's going to end up bringing prices up in lots of areas. I think companies that are outside of tech and are looking to sell commodities, etc., are going to be struggling for a little while. And I think there's a potential for the ASX to come down again. It's on its way, and I think it's going to continue this drop off. Yeah.
I love it. You are going short ASX, and Simon is along the S&P. So someone's going to be right, and someone's going to be wrong. So
Yep.
I'll let you leave the levels with to write the levels in the charts so that our producers can follow you. And I want to give you an opportunity, both of you, to talk a little bit about what you do. But before we get to that, Simon, I have to hear that story about how you told me you broke 2 desks in the recent history as a result of trading. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, Fon. That's my that shows my even temperament that you need to be a successful trader. So I used to have some really cheap IKEA desks, and trading is quite frustrating, as I'm sure you'll know. And this isn't now. I'm like Zen now. I'm like the personification of like Buddhist philosophy. But before, I used to get out of trading and I used to smack the desk, and because they were really cheap desks, and obviously I'm super strong, like a professional boxer, I used to just put these massive holes in the desk and like tape them up, and I kept them for a while because I was like, as a reminder of like how much further my trading psychology and temperament had come. But you just had these huge fist prints in them with this cheap, crappy desks that I used to have, and I kept them for ages until they were nearly disintegrated. But I've got some nice ones now, so I'm not punching them. And I actually whacked it on the joint once, and I sprained my wrist by hitting it so hard. So I had to strap it up for a rugby game. Didn't get injured in the rugby game. Got injured through trading. So yeah, trading can be dangerous out there, ladies and gentlemen. So be careful. It wasn't my finest moment, but that's the nature of trading. It's frustrating, annoying, and it's better to punch the desk than take a revenge trade. Put it that way. Cheap desks are cheaper than getting back in the market.
Very, very true. So, Michael, have you gotten the orders in for the trade that on your chart so we can all take a look?
Yep. Stop 7535. Take
Producers, can we go
profit
to the
69,
chart?
69. Yep.
Let's see if we can
Chart's
show
up.
his chart. There we go. Stop 75.35. Take profit 69.69 on the ASX. So let's go back to
Yes,
our
it's done.
scoreboard and take a look at where our traders are at. If we take a look at the trades that they have on right now, can we sort by trader? Let's take a look at Michael first. So Michael, they have all of their positions on still. Euro's going very well. Bitcoin's going very well. Oil, ASX, gold are in mild losses. So we've got a slight loss here for Michael. And what about Simon? So with Simon, still we've got all our trades on, although his DAX stop has been moved slightly, and the losses have turned into profits, as you can see how quickly markets move, thanks in large part to the Nasdaq short trade. So that's working out very, very well. Now we'll have to wait until Tuesday of next week to declare the ultimate winner, but right now it definitely seems like Simon is on top, and we continue to monitor that. And I'd like to give both of you, gentlemen, a chance to talk a little bit about what you do and share information on how our viewers can get in touch with you.
Sure. So Michael and I have been running a live trade room since 2013. It's pretty much as it's displayed here. To be fair, you see these pro real time charts backed up by MT4 or MT5, and we've always been of the. Are we not? All right. Okay. Fair enough. We were earlier. Is a smooth ship, this one. So basically we take live trades. We always say you don't trust a driving instructor who doesn't know how to drive. So, for us, it's all about the actual execution of the trades, the analysis of the market. We trade our live trading accounts in front of people, and we do our best to try and teach people how to trade and try and discuss things that are relevant to trading psychology, go through frustrations, and we try and demonstrate the right trading behaviors. You won't see us revenge trade. You won't see us take unplanned trades. You won't see me hit the desks these days. So generally speaking, we're just trying to focus on the only thing that matters. There's only two things you control in trading. It's pressing that buy and sell button. And the only thing we're interested in is doing that to the best of our ability and trying to demonstrate that. It really is as simple as that. Trading is simple. So we're just focusing on the simple aspect of it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Michael and Simon. For our viewers at home, it was another high energy, high intensity trading battle proudly sponsored by Ikea. And I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. And I look forward to seeing you at the next one.